Welcome to the chat with Illuminessence. Today, Lohifa and I are downtown Hamilton on King William with the outstanding young film leader and owner of Made For You by Madeleine Bakery, Joy Jones. Thanks for having us. It's so great to be here.
Absolutely. We're very excited to be here. We know you have some wonderful treats for us, and we're going to be talking to you about your inspiration for the business.
Fabulous.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Let's get it started. Hello, everyone. So we're here today with Joy of Made For You by Madeleine, and we're really excited to be with you from the Illuminessence magazine. How are you today?
Good, thanks.
Wonderful. So I walked in here and I have to say the aroma was breathtaking. Now, Joy, do you want to tell us a bit about your business and how you came up with the name, for instance?
Oh, well, you know what? I did some training with classical pastries.
Lovely.
And I always love the name Madeleine. And there's one little cookie pastry type thing that's represents the bakery because it's sort of a rustic little treat. And it's like a little cookie that you would dip into tea. And
That's
so
awesome.
sort of,
I love dipping.
Yeah.
Great. That's great. So would that be your favorite one then? Would that be the actual Madeleine?
it's one of them.
One of the favorite. Talk to us about some of the other ones that you have for the season.
Well, I have some on a plate here.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. It's my lucky day, everyone.
Yeah, so we got some samples here.
Perfect.
So here's the Madeleine that I was
Okay.
speaking about.
Would you like me to try that one
Sure,
first?
why not?
Wonderful. Here I go, guys.
So it's always baked in a little seashell shape,
Mm.
and it has
It's yummy.
a very small but tasty little treat for after school, or if you just want something on
Right.
the side with your tea.
Right.
So that one's cocoa. I also do the honey vanilla one.
Oh, it tastes so good.
Yeah, so
It's
just-
really awesome, guys.
So
Perfect.
and that showcases, I think, like all the baked goods, it showcases that the grain is actually milled here into flour, and you get a
Lovely.
really good texture with it. So you get the flavor and the texture of whole grain.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
So you make your own flour,
I do.
I heard, or I read rather.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Can you tell us a bit about the process while I eat my Madeleine?
Sure, absolutely. So basically, in the back, I have a mill that is a machine that will grind the flour.
Wow.
And so you take grain as, actually I have the grain over here, not
Wow.
this grain, but
Okay,
this shows
of course,
you
yes.
what it is.
Yes.
And basically from the wheat, the grain comes, and then we mill it
Wow.
into flour, and then
Mhm.
use every single part of it in the treats. So it's not like the other commercial products. It's
Of
not
course.
even like all the other scratch bakeries. We're using white flour. We're using whole grain flour.
That's
So that's the big
wonderful.
difference.
That is great. And what are the health benefits of going that route versus what we
Mhm.
get in the stores?
Two main ones. One is that you're getting all the nutrition from the germ, which is
Mhm.
the center part of the wheat,
Okay.
and that's where all the nutritious oils are and the vitamins and a lot of the minerals.
Perfect.
So that's one, you're getting a lot of nutrition. The other thing is you're getting all the fiber. And I don't know if you've heard, but we are missing a lot of fiber in our
Certainly,
diets.
yes.
So that is really helping a lot. So
That's
adds
good.
a lot.
I'm very happy to hear that because I eat a lot of fiber products, but they don't taste this good.
Mm.
This is really, really yummy, everyone. I'm so blessed to be eating this right now. So, are there any other seasonal items that you make, or any other favorites that you want to chat with us about?
Well, I put the favorites on the plate.
Perfect.
The current favorite right
Which one's
now
that
is the Quebec sugar tart. It's called tarte au sucre, and
Lovely.
it's kind of like a butter tart, but it has maple syrup and has cream in it.
Oh.
So it's not too ooey gooey, but it is very nice and rich tasting.
Yeah, it doesn't look as ooey gooey as a butter tart, so I'd say this is a healthier version
A
then.
little bit, I think so. I mean, it
Perfect.
still is a treat. No question there.
Of course, of course.
But yeah,
Lovely.
so that's that one.
Great.
Very, very popular. I also make it in a larger size also. So very
Fantastic. That's
popular.
good.
And then the other two things here, I put the cookies because who doesn't love cookies?
I do.
So that's the all-time favorite. So
Right.
I put them down here. There's the classic oatmeal raisin.
Lovely.
And then the other thing I put here was a biscotti.
Lovely.
And the biscotti that I do are a little bit different. They're the very crunchy style.
Lovely.
I noticed here in Canada, it seems, or in Toronto and Hamilton, it seems like people like the softer style.
Okay.
However, I went to Italy and I cooked there for 2 summers, and
Lovely.
I really like the way they do it, where it's
Where it's
very
crunchier,
crunchy,
right.
and it's designed to be dipped. And then when you dip it, it doesn't disappear.
Doesn't fall apart
in the
right away.
bottom of your
Wonderful.
cup.
And I notice they're actually smaller, the biscottis, because the ones I'm used to seeing are much larger.
Yes.
Just make it easier to handle with your tea or just eating on the side.
Yes.
That's great. I really
Moderation.
like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Moderation.
Yeah.
That's really good. So Joy, I know that you make amazing mini cakes. You want to talk to us about that? And of course you cater, is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure. Basically, with the mini cakes, they're individual portions.
Lovely.
So that way you can come in and have a treat. You don't have to buy a whole cake.
Nice.
And also, if you have a dinner party, you can also just buy an assortment. And that seems to be the trendy thing right now.
Especially
where-
this season, right?
Yeah. So
Right.
people can sort of buy an assortment, put it on the table, and everybody just tries a little bit.
Wonderful.
And in addition to that, I also do a catering menu. So if you want little
Perfect.
tiny size things, then we do a special catering menu. as
That is awesome. You seem to be a jack of all trades with special flour here and a master of them all, of course, because I really liked what I tasted,
Oh,
by
good.
the way. Yeah. So thank you very much, Joy. It's been a great time chatting with you, and we'll see you again on The Chat by Illuminessence. Thank you.
I'm so jealous. Lohifa got to taste all the delicious treats. But I know you told her how you came about with the name Madeleine. But can you tell me a little bit about what has always really inspired you to want to become an entrepreneur, and how has the experience been so far?
Well, I opened this bakery because I realized nobody else was doing it. And by that, I mean that no one else was taking whole grain and certainly not milling the flour and making treats with whole grain. So that was a big push, just seeing that the community needed something that was like that. And so I thought I wasn't going to do it.
And I think that probably speaks to your entrepreneurial instinct, because you used to live in Toronto and chose to come to Hamilton. But from what you just said, I am assuming it had to do with also the fact that nobody was doing that in Hamilton as well.
Yes.
Was that your experience at the time when you got here?
Yeah, well, no one's actually doing it in the GTA entirely.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it's really, really different. It's really different from any of the scratch bakeries that are in town and out of town. And I did it because after I baked for many years, I actually studied nutrition for a year, and that's when I began to realize how important it was to use whole grains. We hear a lot about that these days, whole foods and whole grains and more, back to the old-fashioned ways. And I think there's something to that.
Absolutely, and we're lucky for it. Hamilton got to get you, right? But just to talk a little bit about, you mentioned that you studied nutrition. Where did you study nutrition?
There's a school in Toronto that does a one-year intensive program, and it's called IHN, Institute of Holistic Nutrition.
So what was your, in terms of just as a young, again, speaking to our aspiring young femme leaders, if they want to consider a career and own their own bakery one day, what has your journey been from education to setting up your own business, and what has been some challenges that you want to share with them so at least they can look forward to something like that and know what the right steps are to take so they don't hopefully make the same mistakes and face the same challenges?
Oh, that is a tough question.
Right?
Very tough question.
I know.
I think partly for sure what you said was about training. I think inform yourself, educate yourself as much as possible. One thing I found after the business opened, and I've heard this from other business owners too, is your time is in very short supply. So I would say that doing more research ahead of time and doing more planning ahead of time is a good idea. Obviously you can't have too much paralysis and never start. However, the time that you have afterward becomes very, very limited and very spare.
And I think another thing I've observed about you, because luckily for us, I've got to know you over the past year, and you were so gracious from the beginning with Illuminessence. You've always been supportive. But right when you got to Hamilton, what made you stand out was your involvement in the community. And not only that your treats are delicious, but also it was your involvement in the community. Right when you got to Hamilton, you've always been very active in the young professional scene and just supported a lot of initiatives. Can you tell me a little bit about what other organizations or groups or interests you've become acquainted with over the past year and a half?
Overall, I think when I started the bakery, I thought it was really important to have a social consciousness and community-minded sort of ideas. It's really part of being, I think, when you open a business, you touch so many people. it's not just one person as an individual. It's actually, you're interacting all the time with people. So the two things that I do the most are a lot with organizations regarding health, and because there's a natural pairing, and also with young people and children, so influencing those decisions for healthy eating.
And so what should we look forward to for 2016 from Joy? Not Madeleine Bakery only, but Joy. Because I think part of the thing I like to share with our readers is what other interests do you have, or what do you do on your spare time?
Right.
And what other passions you might want to pursue.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I was recently thinking is that I would like to, as a lot of business owners do, have a better work-life balance. And for me, that is personally getting more involved in the community, just with doing arts events and getting involved with just what arts and culture is in the city. So that's something that's going to be pretty exciting for me because I haven't lived here that long. Yeah. So today I actually bought a membership at the Art Gallery of Hamilton.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a great space to go.
Yeah. So
well,
just getting involved with stuff like that. So that's my personal interest, is to be a little more well-rounded.
So are you enjoying your stay in Hamilton so far? Are we going to keep you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, before I go, our theme for this season is be inspired for success. So for our readers out there, I want you to tell us what inspires Joy for success.
Wow. I think the thing that inspires me the most on a daily basis is when I see how people, how some people are very gracious with how they move about in the world and how they handle things and how they interact with other people. And, some people bring a real sense of peace and calm and, like I said, graciousness to every interaction. And when I see that, I find that really inspiring. Some people have very hard lives and they're still able to rise above it. And I think that is probably the most inspiring thing.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for having us. And you are an exemplary young film leader, because not only are you gracious, but you're generous and you're just very success-driven. And I'm so happy to have met you. And I wish you all the best with the bakery. And, I'll be here for more treats.
Thanks.
Thank you. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and be inspired for success. And until next time, keep illuminating.